I empower people to rewrite their genes, not the DNA sequence, but the epigenetic instructions. Everything you do, food, exercise, social connections. So genes determine only just about 25% of what makes you healthy and also your longevity. The remaining 75% is determined by our lifestyle choices.
Dr. Lucia Aronica, it's a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for this invitation.
So you are a Stanford researcher. You're an epigenetics and nutrition scientist. But from what I've seen, you were born and raised in Italy, where your mother taught you that in the kitchen, in the dining table, you don't get old. I'm just really curious how that shaped into the scientist you are today.
Yes, that plays a big role. So epigenetics is the science of how everything we do, including food, can change how our genes work. And I've been working in this field for 17 years. But my upbringing in Italy was really the starting point, the flame of this very big fire. Because in Italy, food isn't just fuel. It's culture, it's social connections, and it's joy. And I think joy is one element that is very often forgotten in our approach to health. And I want to bring that element back to people's life. Because there's no sustainable change without joy. You're not going to stick to any lifestyle change, whether it's food or exercise, if you don't enjoy it. And in Italy, we know it. When we eat, we take time to savor the food, to enjoy the conversations. And science shows that eating that way actually promotes better digestions. And epigenetics show that eating that way also is good for our stress level. So epigenetics is about all the lifestyle choices: food, stress management, social connections, mental stimulation. And I see joy as something that links all these elements together. So yes, growing up in Italian kitchen taught me for the first time that food isn't just fuel, but it's more. And then as an epigeneticist, I discovered that actually food works as code that reprograms your genes to make you healthy or sick. And here's how it works. Your DNA, think it as computer hardware. It's the same in every cell, unchangeable. Epigenetics is the software that tells your cells which programs or genes to run. The prefix epi means on the top. So epigenetic modifications are molecular switches atop your genes that can turn them on or off. And just as software can make one computer perform many different tasks, epigenetics creates surprising deviations in nature. Let me show you. Touch your skin for a moment. Now your heart. Feel that heartbeat?
Mm-hmm.
Same hardware. Identical DNA. What makes them different is the different epigenetic software they run. And this explains also why identical twins with the same DNA can age differently. One shows premature aging, one maintains healthy skin. The other gets diabetes at 40, the other stays healthy until 90. Same hardware, different software. And here's the beautiful part. you can rewrite that software starting today. I empower people to rewrite their genes, not the DNA sequence, but the epigenetic instructions. Everything you do, food, exercise, social connections, these aren't just healthy habits. These are signals to enzymes that literally write or erase epigenetic modifications in your genes, like editors revising a text. Some edits, like those made before we were born, are in pen, so tend to be permanent. But the edits we write as adults are in pencil. They can be erased and rewritten. So in epigenetics, you are not just a passive reader of your genetic code, but an active writer of your health story, every day, with every choice. And my mission is to empower people to pick up the epigenetic pencil and rewrite a healthier chapter for their health, starting today.
So let me ask you a somewhat selfish question.
Yes.
I happen to have an identical twin.
Oh,
If what you're saying is true, I want to run my own experiment.
Okay.
What can I do in my life, habits, lifestyle, eating, that will optimize my epigenetics so I can beat my brother?
Okay, this is a thought experiment, I see. So I would start with food. For me, food is the foundation for everything. It gives you the energy to then exercise. It gives you the energy to stabilize your brain and be in a healthy state of mind. So food first. This is the approach I teach at the university. I call it epi-nutrition. It's a practical approach to improve your epigenetics, your gene expression, through food. And it focuses on eating foods rich in epi-nutrients. So these are nutrients that support gene expression, can turn on the genes that make you healthy and turn off the genes that make you sick. We find these epi-nutrients in a variety of foods, from animal foods to plant foods. The core is protein, animal protein, plant protein. These provide the building blocks for epigenetic modifications like DNA methylation. These are called methyl donors. So the nutrients are folate from green leafy vegetables, liver, and legumes. Then B12 that is found mainly in animal foods like meat, fish, shellfish, liver. And then we have choline, also mainly from animal foods, egg yolks, liver, some choline in cruciferous vegetables, but not enough to cover our needs. And then betaine. This is found in beets, quinoa, shrimp, wheat bran. So together, this is the first category of foods I recommend. Then we have colorful veggies. These provide polyphenols and other phytochemicals. Now, here's the thing. Your doctor probably told you to eat the rainbow, right? But here's what your doctor may not realize. Those pigments aren't just antioxidants. They are epi-nutrients. So they actually regulate the epigenetic writer and eraser enzymes, activating genes that boost your health. And so these foods are colorful foods like red foods, tomatoes, bell pepper, orange foods like oranges or pumpkin, carrots. And we have brown foods also, coffee and chocolate, but only more than 80%, and non-Dutch processed, because Dutch processed chocolate tastes better, so it's smoother, but it loses the flavonols, the epi-nutrients in the process. We have purple foods, like, for example, berries are really great for you, and green foods, like spinach and cruciferous vegetables. They are so important. We are talking about broccoli, Brussels sprouts, arugula. These contain sulforaphane. And sulforaphane is what I call the boss of your body's own antioxidants. Why? Because it isn't an antioxidant itself, like vitamin C. It's better. It turns on your body's own antioxidant genes. And while vitamin C disappears after a few hours, sulforaphane turns on your antioxidant genes for up to 3 days. So it's enough to eat cruciferous vegetables 2-3 times a week to really keep our genes happy.
So as you're speaking, like most people are told, like you go to a biology class that genes determine your destiny. And in a certain way, sure. But as you're speaking, it sounds like there's a lot of like leeway and a lot of modifications that can happen. What's the extreme? Like how hopeful can we be with these epigenetic modifications?
So genes determine only just about 25% of what makes you healthy and also of your longevity. The remaining 75% is determined by our lifestyle choices. It's not just about nutrition, right? We talked about other lifestyle factors. I call it Epi-Wellness. It's the complete framework that includes nutrition, exercise, stress management, social connections, and joy, of course. Sleep, avoiding toxic exposures, unfortunately, microplastics, pesticides, and strategic sunlight. So protected exposure in the morning and at sunset for circadian and antioxidant benefits. Because many people fear the sun because they don't want to get wrinkles, or too much sun can damage your skin and increase the risk of certain types of skin cancer. We are not talking about that. We are talking about strategic exposure, which is important to really sync all your body's hormones and symphony, the circadian rhythm, and also to actually produce antioxidants in your mitochondria. They are stimulated by the infrared light of the sun. So again, I think focusing holistically on all these pillars, identifying what is the weakest pillar for you, right? Because I usually recommend to start with food for everybody. So your twin should start with food first. Then I think exercise is very important. But then if you are also already mastered the 2 pillars, then you need to identify what is lacking in your life. Maybe it's social connections, right? Maybe it's sleep. But again, I think food and exercise are the most powerful ones. Exercise really modify the way you respond to food. Because, for example, if a person with a lot of muscle mass eats a piece of cake, his blood sugar or her blood sugar is not going to move much because their muscles are really sensitive to glucose. They are claiming it to refill the glycogen stores. Exercise is powerful. I proudly show my calluses. I just now cut them so they are not so visible, but believe me, when I go to the nail dresser, she screams. And I'm proud because I do pull-ups every other day. I think I want to be strong, especially longevity is about maintaining muscle mass. My mom, she's 84 years old. She's the picture of true longevity to me. First of all, joy, right? She's happy. She savors her meals. She dresses elegantly, matching colors. And this is important. It's not about exterior beauty. It's about really creating a therapeutic beauty. Because actually the mirror is one of the cheapest and most powerful screening tool we have. And we don't use it enough. And she recently started to work out. So she fell. And falling at her age is one of the main causes of death. So I told her, we need to do something. She's picking up weight. She's killing it at the gym. Yeah, so I think for most people, nutrition and exercise to prioritize. Once you nail those pillars, then you need to look at other areas. For example, myself, I think social connections are getting more and more difficult, especially because as we all are very busy and prioritize. So I have a lot of mental stimulation in my life, a lot of purpose in my work. The social connections are suffering. So again, find your weakest pillar and focus on that.
I love the idea of the epi-wholeness. Now, I want to ask, you have epi? I'm really curious about meta, like metaphysical. I wonder where purpose, meaning, spirituality falls in this for you.
It's very important. Actually, there are studies showing that meditation can induce epigenetic changes in genes that are linked to promote health pathways, right? So from a scientific point of view, we know very little, right? Because don't have many studies on meditation and the effect of spiritual practices on epigenetics. But we already know that there are some positive effects. I like the way you frame spirituality as a bigger thing, right? Because you can be religious, you can be spiritual, you can just believe in something bigger, or even have the purpose you have in life as your driving spiritual force. And I think this is very important. Again, it's one of the pillars that I'm focusing on now. To me, personally, it means now thinking about how everything is connected, even being more in nature, watering my plants, and see how they are intelligent human beings, right? Feeling part of a bigger conversation. We know that our beliefs and our feelings shape our epigenetics. So yes, spirituality is a beautiful framework to feel better about ourselves and our connection to the world, and so to improve our epigenetics.
So I know you speak a lot about pleasure and joy. We have like this almost like false dichotomy between health and pleasure. That a lot of healthy optimizations, it's just about discipline, waking up early, grinding it through, putting on grit, but how can we have pleasure while we pursue health? Are they dichotomies or can we harmonize them?
Yeah, unfortunately, what I see, especially in the biohacking and longevity space, is that more and more people see pleasure as the opposite of health. So they're jumping from one restrictive protocol to another. But here's the truth. Pleasure is our ancestral compass for health. So we are wired to seek pleasure because our brain, this way, makes us repeat habits that are good for our health. Healthy foods, sex, social connections are habits that helped us thrive during evolution, right? And those habits trigger pleasure, authentic pleasure. Now, here's the problem. In our modern society, this pleasure has been hijacked by artificial pleasures that are even stronger than those natural pleasures and are addictive. So for a good reason, you want to avoid pleasure or that type of pleasure and see that type of pleasure as the opposite of health. Yes, we are on the same page. I'm not telling you to eat a lot of chocolate or candies or just scroll on social media. That is unfortunately a type of addictive pleasure that you want to avoid. But once you detox yourself from that kind of pleasure, finding true pleasure is the key for sustainable change. Because once you love and enjoy the food, the exercise routine that you're going to do, you're going to want to do it every day. So yes, please try to have a pleasure detox from the addictive pleasures, avoid social media, especially have like a detox from your phone for a while, avoid processed foods, but then please don't just jump on a restrictive protocol of, just because this influencer is having this diet, I'm going to follow it no matter what because I want his or her results. You need to find foods that are healthy and are aligned with your preferences and needs.
I wanted to ask this question about differentiating the type of pleasures in life. You say pleasure is kind of like the compass for life, but there are some things we should do in life that are not so pleasurable. They're hard. But how can we change our mind to see the hard thing as a pleasurable thing?
That's such a beautiful question. Yes, you're absolutely correct. We want pleasure, but we also want to embrace challenges. We want to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. I don't have a secret formula, and I'm not a neuroscientist specialist. So if any of your followers are in the neuroscience, please explain this. But I believe there is a way to actually make the things that at the beginning are challenging pleasurable. For example, I'm addicted to working out. I can't describe it. It's a mix of every time 1 hour before a workout, my heartbeat goes up. I am excited. I'm also a little scared. I'm almost like preparing. So there is still the component of challenge for sure, and I feel the pain while I exercise. But there is a part of my brain that absolutely loves exercising. Although at the same time, it's challenge and desire. It's almost part of my identity. So for me, exercise is like breathing is like being. I can't be myself if I don't eat, if I don't exercise. Even during the pandemic where nobody was seeing me, I bought adjustable dumbbells, a pull-up bar, and a 100-pound weighted vest. It was a pain just to have it. I had to go through that pain to be myself every day. Now, again, I'm not a neuroscientist, but I think many people can see themselves in this process, right? There are things that are challenging, but then if we repeat them enough, they become our lymph, what makes us alive. So the message for people who are not in this place is just give it some time. Find something, first of all, a movement, a type of movement that you enjoy, or it's challenging but not enjoyable, right? Challenging but enjoyable. And then wait. I think our biology is incredible. And yes, it's important to embrace challenges. From an epigenetics standpoint now, beyond exercise, there are challenging times in our life. That, like, for example, divorce, when breaking up with your partner, losing somebody. I lost my father when I was 14. Actually, these psychological challenges are an opportunity window for change at the epigenetic level. Your brain becomes more plastic when there is a crisis. This is when maybe decisions that you were postponing for years then suddenly take place. So this is just to say challenges can be opportunity. We call this in science also hormesis. So when something that is a stressor at low level is actually triggering our survival and repair pathways. It is true for exercise. There is actually a stressor, and it's first destroying our muscle fiber before rebuilding them. It's true for psychological stress, right? It's an opportunity to rebuild. And it's also true for some food compounds that are actually poisoning us in a way, but at small doses, they are triggering those repair pathways. I'm talking about polyphenols. You see on social media a lot of people that are fear-mongering about epi-nutrients. Okay, these are plant compounds that block the absorption of minerals like iron, for example, calcium, and other nutrients. Now, yes, these anti-nutrients are a little poison, but it's like the challenge that creates hormesis that actually turns on our repair genes. So yes, embrace challenges in your life. They're so important for growth, not only muscle growth. It's personal growth and also for your genes.
As a final question, my background is biomedical science, and when I first started studying, I thought it was just so beautiful that we can dive into the biology, the chemistry, understand the mechanistics. It's beautiful. You can see the science, but also felt that I was reducing something sacred into something formulaic. I'm really curious for you, like you started with this relationship in the kitchen with your mother in Italy, full of joy, but now you study this for a living, you go deep. I'm wondering, as you study the molecular elements, does it become more scientific or more sacred?
That's a very beautiful question that actually touches something deep in my professional life. Before starting my journey in science, my high school studies were actually focused on poetry, philosophy. I won the Italian Philosophy Olympics in 1997. I say that. And to me, I lived that challenge that you're just discussing when I started to study the science. I was like, there's something so... I'm now focusing on the metaphysics and the meaning of life, and now I'm narrowing down my focus on the microscopic. Well, after so many years, I think that life is so big that we need multiple perspectives to look at it, right? We need some time to narrow down our vision and really focus on the molecules, and then zoom out and think about what that microscopic life means for the overall picture. To me, I do that every time I prepare a talk, every time I give a podcast interview. That's why I like it, because it's like taking the microscopic work and focus I have, zooming out and making then the word, the bigger word, now has a different color. Because I was able to dive deeper and then go back and bring those colors, bring that additional meaning that I discovered in the deep waters.
That's beautiful. Dr. Aronica, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
If people want to find out about your work, your research, where can they go?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel, Lucia Aronica, a website, Dr. Lucia, drlucia.com. And I'm creating the first course in epi-nutrition for clinicians. So if you're a clinician, you can go to drlucia.com/course to sign up for the waitlist. I would love to see you there.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.